Hello, everybody, and thank you for taking part in this month's webinar. I think this is really going to be a useful webinar for you. We have two of our outstanding wealth advisors, Sam Macy, who's a certified financial planner, and Katie Buck, who is an associate financial planner, wealth advisor. And they really put together a nice webinar to hopefully help teach you how to navigate through our portal and so forth. And I'm looking forward to it as much as you are. So I can't thank you enough for taking time out of your day. I hope you find it to be very useful. And without any further ado, let me hand it off to Samantha so she can get started.
Thank you, Steve, and hello, everyone. My name is Sam Macy. I'm one of the wealth advisors on the team, and I am just sharing my screen now so that we can all see what an example client portal looks like. But thank you for joining. We're excited to go through a tutorial of the Bouchey Client Portal, and we're hoping to really help you understand the data that you have accessible to you, as well as the reports that you have in your account. So that's what we're going to be reviewing today. Of course, if you do have any questions, please feel free to follow up with us afterwards. We would be happy to connect with you. So first off, what I want to start off with is when you become a client, you actually get access to two different portals. The first one is a Charles Schwab portal, and the second one is the Bouchey Client Portal. So there are a few differences, and we feel like the Bouchey Client Portal is a bit more accessible and user-friendly. But the few differences that there are that the Charles Schwab portal offers data up to date when you go in, so it's today's account values. If you go into your Bouchey client portal, it's going to be the previous day's market close. So that's the difference in the values. The other difference is your Charles Schwab portal is going to show your unique accounts. And if you have a spouse or a significant other that you share a household with, in your Bouchey portal, you'll actually be able to see the combined view. So it's a bit easier in that sense. You don't need to log in with two separate logins. You can log in with one and see all of your accounts in the total performance. And you can actually see this here. I'll walk through that briefly. So this is the view you will see if you are just logging in to your Bouchey client portal. Up here at the top, we're looking at the all accounts view. And if you wanted to see all of the accounts that are in your all accounts view, you would simply click on the dropdown and see them listed out individually. So you can see here on the left, I have a brokerage account, also called a taxable account, and an IRA listed here. You would have your specific names linked with these accounts, and you might have a joint taxable account, and you'd be able to see all of these. And if you wanted to see the returns or the data for a specific one, you would simply click it. For today's purposes, we're going to start with simply looking at the all account view, and we'll switch it up a bit later. So on the all account view, we're going to start by looking at the dashboard view, which is what we call this top section here. And in the upper left-hand tile here, we have the portfolio market value, again, as of yesterday's market day close. And this is the total portfolio value because I'm looking at the all accounts view. In the middle tile here, we actually have your year-to-date returns. It's an annualized performance number, and this is going to be the default year-to-date. You can also toggle through different time frames of returns, 3-year, 5-year, inception to date, or since you came on as a client. And the longer that you are a client, the more data we're going to have to show you here. So if you've only been a client for 3 years, your 5-year and inception to date are going to look the same as your 3-year. But if you've been here longer, those will start changing over time. And then over here to the right, we have your investment gain numbers. And again, defaults to year to date right away. And what we're seeing is the growth or pure profit in your account for your total portfolio here. What's important to note is that this is net of fees, as well as the performance number is also net of fees. So you don't need to be taking out our fee on top of what you're seeing here. And again, you can toggle through the different time frames. to see what is your pure profit over those timeframes. On the bottom left tile here, we have your net contribution. And this is where you're going to see your contributions made into the account, as well as any withdrawals. If you're in a stage of life where you're taking a monthly distribution to replace your income because you're now retired, this is where you're going to see it. And it will show the year-to-date number there. And then the net contribution is simply the difference of the two. Again, you can see right now we're looking at year-to-date. You could look at the 3-year if you wanted to, but you have all these time frames to choose from to really just see, you have full access to what those contribution numbers are. And then lastly, our last tile on the right is your contribution or distribution rate. And this simply shows the percentage of how much you've contributed year to date or taken from the account. So if it's positive, it's a contribution rate. If it's negative, it's a distribution rate, or what you're withdrawing from the portfolio overall. Down here below is the start of our reports, and we actually have made some of our favorite reports very accessible to you. You can see we have 4 of them listed out, and you would simply tab through them one by one if you wanted to see them. Right down here below, we'll start off with asset allocation. This is the default, so when you go to the screen, you scroll down, you'll see your asset allocation. And this is simply how your portfolio is invested. So when you come on as a client, I'm sure you remember that whole conversation of what's your risk tolerance, what makes sense for you, how are we going to get you invested. So you'll scroll down here and you'll see this is the all account view again. So it's the combination of all of the accounts. This is an example of our growth allocation. So 80% in the stock market, 20% in fixed income and alternatives. And you can see the exact breakdown here. And there's a little bit of cash as well. So now I'm going to hand it off to Katie, who will talk about our next report, account performance.
Thank you, Sam. Yes, my name is Katie Buck, and I am an Associate Wealth Advisor here at Bouchey. So thank you everyone for joining today. The next report we want to cover is account performance. If you scroll down, you'll see here 2 graphs. We have the first one on the left is a line graph of year-to-date performance. And on the right, we have historical performance in a bar graph with varying time frames as you go along to the right-hand side. You scroll down even further, you'll see account performance broken up into asset class. You'll see US equities, fixed income, alternatives, and cash. If you move along to the right-hand side, you'll see that you'll find each asset class's last market close value, which is as of yesterday's market close. Continuing on, you'll have different net returns, starting with year to date, prior year net return, 3-year trailing, and so on. If you move back to asset classes on the left-hand side, there is a blue arrow which you can click, and this will drill down into the holdings that are within each asset class. Now remember, we are looking at all of the accounts, so this will include holdings within the IRA and the brokerage account. Again, for example, you'll have Amazon here. You go to the right-hand side, you'll see the last market close value, the year-to-date net return, the prior year return, and so on. Now, if you scroll all the way back up to the top of the page, we'll go into our capital flows report. Now, some of you might see this might seem familiar. The top graph is our inception to date account value versus net investment. Going to the bottom left hand of the screen, you'll see that these accounts have been open since 2003. And following along that yellow golden line is the net investment, which is made up of contributions and distributions from all accounts. So you continue on, you'll see the blue line, or the actual growth, will continue to increase over time through distributions coming out of the net investment, which is safe to say that this client demo is taking a safe distribution rate. You can also see that this demo client has been through a few bear markets, notably one in December of 2018, and again in March of 2020 when COVID hit. But this demo client stayed the course and recaptured those losses and had their accounts continue to grow, which is a testament to being a long-term investor. And if you continue to scroll down on the page, you'll see a list of activities or transactions from within all of the accounts. Starting on the left-hand side is the date. The most recent transaction has been August 1st, 2023 within this demo account. And if you wanted to see the first ever transaction made, you would just click that date button and that first transaction would appear to you for you to review. As you can see, the brokerage account has been open since 1993. Moving along the right-hand side, we'll have the account name, the activity type, the description, and the amount, net of taxes, if taxes are being withheld. Now, scrolling back up to the top, we'll go into our holdings report. Again, this holdings report is going to be separated out by asset class. Here you can see that the blue arrow to the left-hand side is already pre-selected to drill down into your holdings. As you move along, let's look at Amazon. You'll see that we have the ticker or symbol for Amazon, the description, the quantity, the price of Amazon as of yesterday's market close, and the current market value. And the current market value is made up of quantity times price. Moving on, we have cost basis. So this is the original purchase price. And to the right of that, we have unrealized gain or loss, which is the current market value subtracting out the cost basis. And lastly, we have the weighting of that holding within your total portfolio, because remember, we are looking at all accounts within this client portal. If you were to scroll down, you can drill down and see this information for fixed income, alternatives, and cash. Now, I'm mentioning cash because some clients may have a cash distribution or cash management strategy that they might want to look at as well. Now, scrolling back up to the top, you'll see a blue ribbon with a square, accounts, reports, and documents. We will click accounts, and this will give you another way to select and view specific account material. But it is a similar function to the Find Data For that Sam spoke about earlier in the webinar. So here you'll see that this demo client has two accounts. It has the brokerage and the IRA. And if you wanted to drill down and find specific reports for this demo brokerage, you could highlight over that blue graph and you'll see performance reports, holdings reports, and transaction reports. Continuing on to the right-hand side, you'll see the account numbers, the account types, the current value as of yesterday's market close, the inception date of the account, and the objective, which is simply the allocation of the account. Now, returning to the main screen where the webinar started, you will click that square icon in the top left corner.
Thank you, Katie. So now that Katie has walked through some of our favorite reports, I wanted to point out that these reports also live in the reports section of the portal. So you can see account performance, asset allocation, holdings, and capital flows we have already reviewed. And if you click on these, you will simply see the reports that we went through earlier. So on top of those 4 reports, we want to go through the additional reports that we have available to you. And I'm going to start with unrealized gains and losses. So this report pertains to a taxable or a brokerage type of account, and that can be individual or joint. And what we're going to see is the short-term or long-term gain or loss position of the holdings. Again, they're unrealized at this point. So if we look at the rows, you'll see we have the different holdings in the taxable or brokerage account. And then by column, if we go over, you can see the open date. So purchased March 2nd, 2022. We have the quantity. So if we're looking at Apple, 546 shares. the current value, and the cost basis. And you can see that the cost basis is less than the current value, which means that this position is in a gain position, specifically long-term gains. And this is because the position has been held for over a year. So if we start scrolling down a little bit, there are some positions that'll be in the short-term gain position or loss because they were held or they were purchased less than a year ago. So a position has to be held a year and a day to be considered long-term gains, and that would be a more favorable tax position for you. It'd be capital gains. If you realized a position while it's still short-term, they'll be taxed as ordinary income to you. As we scroll all the way down in this demo portal, you're going to see here is the total gain or loss for the account. And it's in a sizable gain position, about 375,000 or 23% gains since inception of the account. And what this would mean for us is we would make sure that we are being very tactical with any trades that we're making in the account. We wouldn't want you to realize any unnecessary gains and would try to offset any sale of gains with losses as we move forward, but it's always part of an ongoing conversation and strategy with our clients. The next report I'm going to pull up is the realized gains and losses report. So this one also pertains to your brokerage account. And in this example, we have one realized position VGT, and it was sold in April 4th, 2023 in this example. And you can see that some of it was sold at a gain position and some of it was sold at a loss position, both long-term. And overall, it puts this account at a loss position of about $6,000. Now, there are a few things that we could do with this. We could be tactical and also realize some gains from the account later this year, which would be offset by the losses to not pay taxes. Currently, you're not paying taxes because this is a loss position. You could also take $3,000 of capital gains losses and deduct them from your taxable income for the year, and any losses not used would be carried forward indefinitely. Now I'm going to jump into the income report, and this type of report could be used on all types of accounts that you have, but we would typically run it on a brokerage account. And you would run this report if you want to understand what you have earned in interest and dividends year to date. So that's what we're looking at here. You can see there is a qualified amount. Typically, these are the stock ETF income amounts and taxed more favorably at capital gains rates. We also have non-qualified amounts, and these are typically more of the bond ETFs taxed at ordinary income rates. It's important to note that these amounts are going to be included on your federal and state income taxes for the year. So this is where you can find that information. And if you wanted to see it more drilled down per holding, you could look at these tabs below, scroll down and see the specifics. So you can see interest and dividends here. The next report we'll look at is the projected income, which kind of goes hand in hand with the income report, except that this one projects the income out for the next 4 quarters. So you can see here that we have the holdings in the brokerage account, and based on the data, the software extrapolates what the projected income for Q4 and then Q1, 2, and 3 of next year are going to be based on that holding. Again, if you are interested, you can always scroll through the specifics holdings, see what the income projections are going to be, and see the total for the year as well. And for the last report, I'm going to hand it back to Katie to go over transactions.
Thank you, Sam. So the last report is the transactions report. This will show you, as of now that Sam has switched it in the Find Data for, all transactions within all accounts. Again, starting in the left-hand side, you'll see the most recent trade date, which is August 15th. And moving on to the right, you can see which account this trade is pertaining to, the actual activity, this is interest income, the description, which is the holding that is relevant, and the amount. If you wanted to see from the beginning of your timeline, again, you would just click trade date, and that would pull up information from the earliest activity. Something to note in the top right corner near all accounts, there's a button where you can export your data, and this will pull up a CSV file. And for those who are unfamiliar, this is very similar to an Excel spreadsheet, and it will contain all this information for you to use and look at your disposal. Most all of the other reports we've covered today also have this export data button. So if that's something that you would be interested in doing, that is available as well. And lastly, we want to review our secure client portal vault. You'll go to the top blue ribbon and click Documents and Vault. Now, this is a very secure and great way for our firm and our clients to exchange information or documents. For example, those who are newly onboarded would potentially upload statements for us to view. In this example here in the main page, you'll see a file uploaded by Sam herself as an example of a net worth statement. If you go to the right-hand side with that blue arrow, you as the client would click download, and this is something that you could keep on your computer, and you could print from this, email if you were preferred, but we also really like to keep with our client portal vault as it is the most secure. Now, if you wanted to post a document yourself, you would go to the top right blue button that says Actions, and this would drop down and you would click Post Document. From there, another smaller screen will appear, and you will browse on your computer for the document that you would like to select. From there, you'll select it and then click Post. Once that's posted, that document will show up on this main screen and will be available for the firm or yourself to view at any point. Now, if you wanted to return back to the main screen like we discussed, you would click that top blue square icon.
Thank you, everyone. So that concludes our tutorial of the Bouchey Client Portal. If you have any questions or you would like to discuss your specific portal, we would be happy to have a follow-up call or discussion with you. Feel free to email someone that you normally work with or call into our client service team. You might also find that you do not have access to your Bouchey Client Portal because when we initially set it up, you get access to log in and set up your credentials for 72 hours. And if you miss that window, it expires. So if you would like us to set it up for you again, please again, just call in. It's very easy for us to do, and we'll get you all set up there. It also uses two-factor authentication for another layer of protection. Another thing that we would like you to know is that this is also available as an app on your phone or tablet. Look for a little B icon. It should say Bouchey Financial Group, and if you have any issues accessing that as well, feel free to reach out. We will be emailing a version of this tutorial today and also uploading the video to our website. So if you would like to rewatch it, that's where it's going to be. Again, thank you everyone for joining us. We hope that you have a great rest of your day.